A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, and our idiom today, our proverb is, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. This link, I said length, but it's link. This idiom has been around for hundreds of years, and it appeared in writing first in Thomas Reed's Essays of the Intellectual Powers of Man in 1786, as well as Cornbill Magazine in 1868. Now, there's examples of this expression, this idiom, all around us. They're in nature, they're in electricity, they're in sports, they're in teams, they're in organizations. So what does it mean exactly? It means that a group or an entity or a thing is only as strong as the weakest point in that thing. The least successful member, the weakest point. So think of in electric circuits, the weakest link is a fuse. They design fuses into electric circuits, and as the current flows through, the weakest link is intentionally the fuse, so that when the fuse goes off and fails, it protects the rest of the circuit, the entire circuit. And that is designed intentionally. So we can use this expression, just like anything else, in either a positive or a negative way. A lot of times we think of the weakest link being a negative thing, a bad thing in our organization, but it can be a strong thing that protects us, right? It might be the naysayer that we think is always bringing up the doom and gloom and the things that can go wrong with a project, but if we don't have that person, guess what? We'll forget to consider that those things can happen in our projects, and the project is more likely to fail. So sometimes we need that person with a different perspective. Not sometimes, we always need that person with a different perspective, or almost always. I don't like to use absolutes. So what's another example? Let's take an example from nature. I learned several years ago, it's probably been decades now, but it's been years ago, that wolves, when they travel and move from place to place, they have the sick and the older wolves at the beginning, at the front of the line, and the stronger wolves and the pack leader is at the end, the last member of the line when they're traveling any type of distance. Why is that? So that because they know in nature, wolves inherently know that the pack is only as strong and only can move as fast as the weakest members of the pack can move. So they protect one another by putting them at the front, and then everyone else goes at that same pace. I've seen pictures of that, and it's absolutely fascinating. So if nature knows something, and animals in nature know something, and we design processes and systems and things to be protected by the weak link or the possible failure point in a circuit and in electrical things, how do we go about using that in our organizations? How do we build those things into our business? I used to and still do annual audits, annual reviews, systems reviews, different function reviews, at least on an annual basis. And with my clients and customers, they do the same thing, because we want to identify everybody's strengths and weaknesses. Guess what? All of us are human. We all have things that we're terrific at, and we have things that we're not so good at. And what we want to do for everyone is focus in on and maximize the strengths, the things that they bring to whatever entity we're auditing or looking at, whatever organization. And this can be for any type of organization, right? It might be your family unit, it might be your church or religious organization, it might be a club or a social group that you belong to, whatever, or your workplace, your business. Since I work with a lot of business owners, I usually like to tie the idioms and the expressions into how does that affect my business right now? No matter what my business is, how can I use this to positively impact my business, not negatively impact it? So we look at things like personal improvement plans, continuous improvement, training and development for all people in the organization, for all levels of the organization, defining our processes and systems and continually improving them so that we take human variability out of certain processes where it's not needed and we just need consistent results, and then tapping into the amazing things that make us human, that benefit our customer experience, that benefit our teamwork, that benefit our ability to communicate and create projects with one another. So I actually love this idiom and this expression. It reminds me that all of us have room for improvement. All of us can focus on our strengths, And all of us have areas that we're not good at, so we want to ask for help, supplement, learn from other people, and be continuously learning and growing and making ourselves better, which it makes the organizations we're a part of better, which makes the entire world a better place. And frankly, that's what I want to see every single day of my years here on the planet. So go out, have an absolutely amazing day. Love to know your experience with a chain being only as strong as its weakest link. I think we've all been on teams where we've seen that, where we've seen teams that just don't come together and don't perform and get the results we want them to, because there's a problem with the mix of people or the mix of skills or the mix of personalities. And instead of it getting worked out and building on one another's strengths, people hone in and focus on one or two individuals' weaknesses or negative impact, and then everything just blows up and implodes. So I'd love to know if you have some stories like that as well, because, you know, we can all learn from those. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And how might you use it in your life and business right now? Take care.